welcome to another one of our awesome workshops. Today we're going to be talking about VR 360 tours. Your host for the day, that's me. My name is Luciana Fortes, but you can call me Lucy. I'd love to know if you can hear me, if you can see me, so definitely let me know in the chat. I also love the emoji function, so that's a great way for me to know that you're there. Amazing. I see that WS Leon said yes. I'd love to know who else is tuning in today. All right, amazing. So far, so good. So definitely let me know if anything happens to my audio and my video. So as I said, my name is Luciana Fortes, and today we have our expert Indika Vijay Surya. So he'll be coming on stage just in a couple of minutes. But before we get things started, I want to know where everybody is tuning in from. So I'm currently in Vancouver, and it's 6 p.m. here. So it's evening, but it's still light out because we're close to summer. Indika is in Sri Lanka, so let me know where you're tuning in from. Hey, Cindy. Cindy's from Pennsylvania. Sam in New Zealand, awesome. Dayan, or as we like to call him, Dijon, is from Calgary. Gwendolyn, California. Oh, amazing. Oh, we have Leon from Malaysia. Oh, Brisbane. Kuala Lumpur, also from Malaysia. Wow, Malaysia represent. Awesome. Pei Ling as well from Malaysia. So cool. Okay, Jay's from Boston. So some people from America, some people from Malaysia. Awesome. Usually we have a pretty international crowd, so it's great to see everybody here. All right, so definitely continue to say where you're tuning in from. Saba from the UK, Dean from West Michigan, amazing. And before we get things started, I wanted to go over a couple of housekeeping items. So all of you, oh, how about Canada? Yes. Hey, David, I recognize some familiar names. That's awesome. Montreal. I'm sure there are lots of Canadians here as well. Anyways, just getting back to housekeeping items. So all of you are familiar with the chat. So throughout the workshop, feel free to keep engaging, send emojis. I love emojis, so the more the merrier. I love you too, David. Awesome. And yes, lots of emojis. And also feel free to use the chat to network with each other. So you could drop your LinkedIn profile, connect. It's a great way to continue the conversation after the workshop is over. All right, so up at the top, if you go to your right, you'll see a questions tab. So throughout the workshop, be sure to drop your questions there. Now that way, they'll be a lot more organized. You can vote on your favorite questions. And then when we get to the end, the Q&A, we'll be able to get to all of your questions. And I just see that David was telling Dayan that he loves him. So I feel forgotten, but it's okay. It happens. You know, I'm sure there's enough love to go around, so I'll be good. I'll be good. And up to top to the right, there's also a poll section. So I'll be launching 2 polls during this workshop. And I'll let you know, I have launched a poll. If you could go to the polls tab and just take your vote, that'd be awesome. So now you're familiar with all those different options there. All right, so thanks again, everybody, for coming here. I'm really excited for this workshop, and it's great to see both familiar and new faces. So without further ado, let's get things started. All right, so what can you expect for today? So we're going to be going VR 360 tours. So I'll start off with a brief introduction to talk about, you know, who we are and what we do, just so everybody has some context. And then I'm going to invite Indika up on stage, and he's going to take a VR deep dive and actually go through the technical component of the workshop. And then he's going to leave us for a second, and I'm going to take a couple of minutes, about 5 to 10 minutes, just to wrap up and share a couple of resources with you guys. We have some pretty exciting news, so be sure to stay until that moment. And then we'll wrap up in the end with a live Q&A session. So be sure to drop, you know, your both simple and complex questions for us. For those of you who might have to, you know, go back to work or go to sleep, because I know we're dealing with lots of different time zones, the recording will be sent to all of the registrants, as well as the project files, resources, assets, and scripts, all of that. So you don't need to worry about missing anything. All right, so a little bit about me before we get things started. So my name is Luciana Fortes, as I said, but you can call me Lucy. I am the Student Experience Coordinator at CircuitStream. I'm kind of a newbie. I've been here for over a month now. So, starting to get a little bit more comfortable. I've worked in education for over 7 years in university prep and also with student experience. And a fun fact about me is that both of my degrees are in dance. And in 2016, I danced in the opening ceremony of the Rio 2016 Paralympic Games. So if there are any athletes there, definitely let me know. And David, yes, you will learn how to make a VR tour of my apartment, as today you get a much better visual, as you can see. The realities of home office, what can I say? All right, so to introduce our expert of the day, Indika Vijay Surya. He's our instructor and VR AR developer. He's been a VR developer for over 5 years. He's worked in VR for marketing, historical visualizations, industrial applications, and VR games. And he loves getting lost in long conversations, especially tech related. So that means I will have to keep an eye out for the time, because if we allow him, he'll be here for 24 hours talking about VR. So don't worry, I got you guys covered. All right, so I've told you a little bit about me and Indika, but what about our team? Like, who is CircuitStream and what do we do? So we are a global team of industry experts that is passionate about building AR and VR products. We were founded in 2015 when we realized that there was a gap in the educational world in terms of providing training for XR professionals and enthusiasts. So we really are at the core an education company. We're really proud to say that up until this moment, we've trained over 35,000 individuals, which is pretty exciting to say. And so, yes, a little bit more about our team. So we are a team of 20 diverse individuals from various backgrounds at various places, as you can see. So we're a pretty global team. But we have one thing in common, and that's to train the next generation of XR professionals. All right, so we are also Unity certified, right? So, what is happening to my mouse? There we go. All right, so we are also Unity certified. So we're Unity certified training and channel partners. So partners are approved based on their expertise, focus on quality education, and commitment to providing the highest level of training available. Another fun fact as well is that Unity covers 60% of the market. So that's pretty exciting. And over here, you can see just some of the individuals that we've had the pleasure to train. So we have individuals from a couple of universities, big companies, small companies, so from various different industries as well. So it's actually thrilling to see, how the variety of applications that XR has. All right, so how do we provide this training, right? So in addition to our workshops, we also have a couple of academic offerings. We have three flagship courses. Two of them are here. So the first one is XR development with Unity. This is where you learn to create XR apps, so either VR or AR. So there's a lot of programming involved in C# language. And this is 10 weeks long with 40 hours of instruction, both with live sessions as well as one-on-one support. We have 2 cohorts coming up, May 25th, which is great for this time zone. So if you're tuning in now, that's a great date to keep in mind, but also July 6th. And then this is a super beginner-friendly course, so you don't need any C# or Unity experience at all. And then we also have our XR Project Accelerator, which is our advanced course. So this is a lot more project-based. You need C# experience, you need Unity experience, and it's almost as long as 8 week long, but with 40 hours of instruction, and you get 2 weekly one-on-one sessions as opposed to 1. We have another cohort coming up on May 25th. And then, super exciting, this is our newest course. We just launched it on May 6th. So it's Interaction Design and Prototyping for XR. It's like the Unity course, so it's 10 weeks long, 40 hours of instruction, but this is great for people who don't like to program. So if you're a designer, a product manager, or somebody who just wants a design perspective and doesn't want to code, this is the course for you. We have our first cohort coming up on June 14th, and alums get 50% off. I want to talk about discounts a little bit more, but not now. I want to go straight to, I want to get started with the workshop soon, but after Indika is done, I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. So don't worry about if you're confused or want to ask questions, because I'll be covering all of that pretty soon. All right, so in addition to our courses, we also have, oh, I already see that some people already signed up for the courses. That's awesome. Richard, amazing. So in addition to our live sessions and courses, we also offer one-on-one support and mentorship. So it's really great because you get both the support of a group session, a live class with other individuals that are going through the same thing, but also one-on-one support. And so it can really be catered to what you need individually. And of course, all with industry experts. We also offer customized training for teams like educators and businesses. So this is definitely something we can help you out with. And at the end, I'll share the contact info of our admissions advisors, and so you can talk to them about that. Okay, so without further ado, let's talk about what you're going to learn today. So you are going to learn how to set up a scene with 360 images, how to set up a VR-capable scene in Unity, how to implement VR controls and input, and how to implement RayCasting to point and click on part of an image to move to another 360 image. And one of the big components of our workshop is Unity, right? So we always like to know, in terms of our workshop attendees, how much Unity experience you have, so that we can really understand where to come from, what the playing field is. So ready for a first poll of the evening for me, but it might be morning for you. I'm going to go ahead and launch it. So if you can go to the top right, I would love to know, on a scale of 0 to 10, how much Unity experience do you have? So ready, set, publish. All right, so it should be showing up for you. It should be easy to go and vote. And so I'll just give you guys a couple of seconds. Let's start seeing the results. All right, so I see some 3s, some 5s, some 0s, and some 6s. So if you're, anywhere until 5, I get it, you're a beginner, but that's totally fine. We're going to be covering the basics. And if you're a 6 or a 7, you might be somewhat familiar. And I see no 8s, 9s, or 10s. Yeah. So let's talk about a little bit more about what Unity is. So what is Unity? Unity is a free 3D development engine for building games, simulations, and experiences. So basically, it's the easiest way to begin making apps for XR, which means extended reality, which means, AKA, is just a fancy term for AR, augmented reality, and VR, virtual reality, as well as MR, mixed reality. So how do you go about creating an XR experience in Unity? It all starts with your genius idea. I'm going to use my mouse here. And then you create it in an engine like Unity. And then you push it out to one of these 3 SDKs, Oculus or Steam VR or Microsoft HoloLens. And then you push it out to one of the compatible devices. All right, so that's just a little bit of context. I was trying to go fast so we can get to the point, but sometimes I don't accomplish that. Anyways, so without further ado, let's get this show on the road. And I'd love to invite our expert of the day, Indika Vijay Surya. Indika, if you're there. Oh, there he is. Hey.
Hey.
Awesome. How's it going?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Doing great.
Amazing. The floor is yours.
Cool.
Go ahead and we'll see you guys later.
Bye-bye, Lucy. Thank you very much, everyone. So it's a very good morning to me. It's 6:45 a.m. Probably all the guys joining from Malaysia, it's going to be good morning to them. And all the guys who are joining from Canada, it's going to be good evening. So wherever you are in the world, welcome to the show. All right. So anyway, without further ado, I'm going to show you what we are going to be building today. So I'm going to share my screen. Just put in the chat whether you see my screen. Just hold on a minute. All right. Okay. Can you all see my screen? All good? Yeah. I'm super careful because the Oculus Link cable is giving me some trouble today morning. All right, you see the sky? All right, awesome. So, all right, so this is what we're going to be building today. So if I put this, when I see my hand, I can see some controller when I hit the trigger, it sends a laser, right? So I can just look around. I can point this laser at this button, and if I release it, it will take me to another scene. So I can, so there are like other two buttons in the scene. So I can click this and go back, like this. Also, let me go to this place, and also, hi, this is my friend, and I'm in France. Awesome. I'm in Paris. Cool. Right. So that's actually a video, right? So where do you go there? Oh, there you go. Yeah, this is actually a video. So you can see the Eiffel Tower, and you can see your friend. Awesome. So this is what we're going to be building today, and you can see that she's moving, and this is like, this is like a video. Right. Cool. So this is the scene that I have right here, but I'm not going to talk about this. So let's talk about how to start a new project. So I'm gonna get my headset down on the table. Give me a minute. Yeah, that's some friend. So that was the only video that I couldn't find. Yeah. So let's see that this. Yeah. Anyway. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is, so if you are really new to Unity, just open up Unity Hub. Right. Okay. It's where is it? All right. There you go. So you open up Unity Hub. You go to new, you create. So I'm using Unity 2020.3.1. So you can choose any other versions from here. If you are building for Oculus Quest, you need to download, you need to go to the installs, you need to select the version that you're building, and you need to go to add modules, and you need to download Android build support. But today we are not going to build anything on Android. We're just going to be using Oculus Link and connecting our Unity scene to the Oculus so that the Oculus would work as an Oculus Rift. All right, cool. When you do that, you'll be treated with something like this. Okay, there you go. So you'll be treated. Hey, Andrew. Good evening, mate. All right, so there we go. You'll be treated with something like this, right? So I'm going to talk a little bit about the Unity's window, right? So by the left-hand side, you'll see something called hierarchy. This hierarchy consists of all the game objects and all the objects in the scene, right? And this is actually the scene, right? So if I select main camera, it will show me where my main camera is, right? If I select my directional light, it will show me where my directional light is. So when you keep on selecting different objects, you can see in the right-hand side, there is a window called inspector, right? Which changes its, components, right? So when you click the main camera, you can see the properties of the camera, that gets popped up here, right? If you select the directional light, you can see the light settings, right? And also, if you select something like this, all right. So, and also you can add new components to this specific game object. So basically, Unity, the basic Unity structure lies with you have game objects in the scene, and on top of the objects you have components. So we call them components, and the transform component is the only component that comes as a default, right? The transform component defines the position, the rotation, and the scale in the scene. Yeah, the light probes. Anyway, cool. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create a new scene, right? So in my scenes window, I'm going to right click this, and I'm going to create a new scene. So you can create assets in this projects folder. This projects folder is the folder that consists of all the objects, all the textures, videos, and everything that we put in. Right. So I'm going to create a new scene. Right click, create scene, and I'm going to give a new name. Let me give something like VR tour. Right. So I'm going to double click that. So it will open up this empty scene. So navigating in the scene is pretty easy. Some people find it really confusing. So how I navigate through this scene is by pressing my right click. So if I press my right click, I can move my mouse. So this will work like um, an FPS game, like you're playing Halo or you're playing, Doom. And using W, A, S, and D, you can move forward, you can move backward, and also you can move sideways, right? So while moving forward and sideways, you can rotate your mouse so you'll be able to easily navigate throughout the scene. So if I add a cube, oh, there we go. I can easily navigate around the cube, right? Using my right click and my other buttons, right? And also you can press E to go up and Q to go down. Those are the basics. So if you in any way, if you don't see all these windows, you can go to window and you can go to general and can, get all of these windows back, and you can dock them. You can just drag and you can dock them to anywhere you like. So I personally try to keep my inspector window by my right hand side along with the lighting window, and also the hierarchy by my left side and the project window by my, at the bottom. Right. Cool. So since we are going to build a VR application, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Window, Package Manager, right? Which will open up a Package Manager window, something like this. And let's wait until it refreshes all the packages in the Unity registry. Okay. Right. Oops. Okay, there we go. Cool. So if you don't see this, you can click this drop down over here and select Unity registry. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to download this package called XR Plugin Management. And here I'm using Unity 4.0.5. Apart from that, I go to, let me search, I can search Oculus. And there you go. I download the Oculus XR plugin, and here I'm using 1.8.1 version. So you can install that plugin by selecting the specific plugin and clicking the install button right over here. Cool. Now we want to let Unity know that this is going to be a VR scene. So to do that, I'm going to go to File, Edit, Project Settings. And in project settings, there's going to be something called XR plugin management. And here you tick the Oculus. Or if you're using any other headset, if you're using HTC Vive, I should tell you that HTC Vive doesn't support the native features that is provided by Unity. You have to download the Steam VR plugin so that it will be compatible with the VR application that you're building. Anyway, so today's talk is about Oculus Quest. So I'm going to be using Oculus. So yeah, there you go. So now Unity knows that this is going to be a VR application. Awesome. Cool. Right. So now what I'm going to do is I don't need this sky, right? So I can see a skybox, but this is not what I'm going to build today. So I'm going to get rid of this sky. So to do that, I'm going to create a folder called materials. Maybe you will already have a materials folder, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click this, create material, and I'm going to name that as black_sky. Black sky. So I'm going to go to lighting. I drag and drop this. Oops, sorry, not the lighting settings. I'm going to go to environment. I drag and drop this black sky right over here. So when you do that, so this is really bad, but I'm not using the shader that is supported by for a skybox. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my material, go to my inspector window, and change the shader of this to. Here, let me open up my mouse highlight so you can see my mouse. Otherwise, it will be confusing. All right, there we go. I'm going to go to shader. I'm going to select skybox, procedural, right? I'm going to get rid of the sun, and I'm going to set the sun size to 0. Atmosphere thickness, going to take all the way down. Exposure all the way down. Cool. Now this would not give any errors, right? So I have a procedural sky. So you can try out your own skies by giving it any colors. For example, something like this. See, it's a super duper sky. Anyway, I don't want that now. I just need a black sky. Cool. All right. So the idea of this 360 VR tools is that you create a screen that looks like a sphere, and you put your camera inside it, right? So when you do that, right, when you look around, you can only see this spheric, huge spheric wall, right? So that's the main idea. So when and also you can place buttons inside that sphere, right? And when you click on this, when you choose these buttons, you can just move in between all of these different spheres. So we'll call them, what do you call them? We'll call them magic balls for now. All right, so let's create a scene. So in my hierarchy window, I'm going to right click. I'm going to go to 3D object, and I select sphere. And there you go. So I reset the position of this to 0, 0, 0. Ha, there you go. All right, and I'm going to set the scale of this to 10 by 10 by 10. So I have a huge scene. Maybe let's take it like 5 by 5 by 5. Okay, I have a huge scene. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a material, right? So okay, here's what it is, right? When you look at this sphere from the outside, you can see the sphere without an issue. But if you go to the inside of the sphere, right, you can't see the walls, right? But you can see the outside of it. This looks like a two-way mirror. Sorry, what is it? One-way mirror or two-way mirror? I don't know. Anyway, you can see it from the inside, but you cannot see the inside from the outside, right? So this can be manipulated by changing the phase of how it renders. So to do that, I'm going to create a new material. I'm going to create a folder to a materials. Right inside that folder, I'm going to create a new material. Create material. So this will be my first place, right? So I'm going to just name it as place number 1, and I'm going to drag and drop this material on top of my sphere so that it will change the color in a little bit, right? So I'm going to select the material right over here, and if I go to the inspector window, I'll be able to change the color. So this is what we call the material of a 3D model, right? You can attach a base map, you can attach you can attach a color. So I'm going to change the color to red, right over here. And here there is something called render face, right? So if I select this render face from front to back, now you can see there's a strange the sphere kind of it looks different now. If I go into this sphere, now there you go. Now you can see the inside of the sphere, as you can see it from the outside for some reason. But the problem is you have a huge shadow right over here. So we need to get rid of this shadow. We don't need shadows at all. Right, so I go to my material. So there are like 2 different types of materials. One we call unlit, and one we call lit. So here you can see that this universal render pipeline, this is called a lit material, and I can change this to universal render pipeline unlit. So as soon as I do that, I can see that it changed. The color of the material changed so that I can see the whole sphere. Cool. I don't want this to be like in red color, so I'm going to get it to white, right? And I'm going to change the base map. So the base map is basically the texture that you want Cool. Uh, yes, I'm gonna share the project files after the workshop. Awesome. All right. So the base map is kind of like an image that you can wrap the whole sphere with, right? So I have taken a taken an image into my textures folder. I have another folder called textures, and inside that textures folder, I have 3 different images. So you can download, you can easily download a 360 image by. So let me show you how to download 360 images. 360 panoramic images, right? Okay, so there we go. These are some of the 360 panoramic images. You know, these photos are captured by 360 cameras. So just for the record, I'm going to download this. I'm going to save this image. I'm going to set this to place 1, right over here. So this is actually a paid one, and it has some sort of a watermark in it, but that's fine. We're just using the free version of the image. All right. So I'm going to go to Unity. I'm going to open up the folder that I just, that I downloaded that um, uh, image. I'm going to drag and drop this image on top of my textures folder right here. And there we go, place 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click my sphere, and in my sphere I can see my place 1 material added, in the mesh renderer. I can expand that, and to the base map I'm going to drag my place 1. I'm going to put it inside my base map. There you go. Now if you go inside this, now you can see that this looks like a 360 VR scene. That's pretty much it. So you can just copy this, right? You can copy this by clicking Control D, and you can move it, right? So you can create new material. So if in my 2 materials, I'm going to copy this material, and I'm going to name it place 2, and I'm going to drag and drop that place 2 right over here, and I'm going to change the base map to this one. There you go. You have 2 different scenes. So you can have like thousands of scenes, thousands of places, right? Now, so let me show you how to add a video as well. So right over here in my videos folder, I have a video called Paris. So if I open this up, so I have 2 different friends, cool, pretty beautiful friends by the side, and I can see the Eiffel Tower right over here, right? So basically this, what you saw here, is a video, but it's a spherical video, right? You can download it. If you have a 360 camera, you can just get a recording of this. Awesome, cool. Right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a duplicate of this sphere. I'm going to put it right over here, right? So inside my sphere, I'm going to create a new material. Let me just drag, let me just get a copy of my previous material, apply that. I'm going to get rid of this base map for now, and I'm going to create in my textures folder, instead of an image, I'm going to create something called a render texture. I'm going to create a texture, but it's going to be a render texture, right? So I'm going to right click my project window, go to create, and select render texture. Here I can give a name. So I'm just going to give like Paris. All right. So I'm going to select my sphere, and inside of my material, which is called place_3, I expand this. So instead of the image, what I do is I just drag my Paris render texture and put it right over here. So I can see that it changed to black, right? That means now this is showing the render texture instead of an image, right? Awesome, cool. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my sphere. I'm going to add a new component to my sphere, and that component should be video player. All right, there we go, video player. Now over here it asks what is the source of the video clip, right? So it can be either a video clip or a URL. So URL is basically a direct URL that you can, a link that you can, if you select URL, you can just paste the link over here. So it will, while this is running, it will stream that video from the cloud or wherever that video is. Also, you can select video clip. So you can choose a video clip that is inside the scene. Right. So I just put that Paris video inside the videos folder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag my Paris video and put it right over here. So getting a video into Unity is pretty much easy. You can open up your folder. You can drag and drop that video into Unity. And I think Unity supports MP4, double lazy, and couldn't remember. So basically just 3 or 4 different video types. Windows WMV and all these, other types might not work with Unity, but MP4, I can 100% make sure that MP4 works with Unity. All right, cool. So I have the Paris video clip right over here. So what this okay, so let me check the mesh renderer. Sphere 2 mesh renderer. So instead of the mesh renderer, I can select the render texture right over here, and I can set the target texture to my Paris texture. So if I open up Paint, so I'm going to explain to you how this works. Right? So in Unity, there is something called a video player, which gets a video and plays that video, right? And you can export that video, you can project that video to something called a render texture. So this texture, this will work similar to a texture, but since this is run by video player, it will work as a screen, right? Now in a material, right? In a material, there is something called the main texture. Right? So what I have done here is I applied this applied this screen, this render texture as the main texture of that material. So when that video plays, you'll be able to see that this thing also, plays without an issue. All right. So that's pretty much it. So let me check. If I hit play, let me see whether it plays. All right. I just hit play. And I can see this sphere. So I'm going to go to, oops, I just put maximize on play. Let me get rid of it. So if I hit play, inside my scene, there you go. So inside of this, I'll be able to see this video, but in a really low quality, right? You can change this quality by going to your Paris, going to your render texture and increasing the resolution. So I'm going to increase the resolution to 1000, maybe 500 by 1000. Oops. No, 2000. There you go. Now the quality is a little bit better, right? And it has stopped. So you can go to video player and select loop. So it will keep the video will keep on looping. All right, so that's it. So we have 2 different image scenes and another scene that is that is a video, that plays a video. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my main camera and I'm going to put that inside my sphere, right? So how I do that is I'm going to select this. So the position of this is 0, 0, 0. So I'm going to select my main camera as well. I'm going to put it to 0, 0, 0. Now you can see the camera is kind of like inside this sphere, right? Awesome. So I'm going to make this camera into a VR compatible camera, right? So to do that, first thing what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an empty game object. I'm going to name this as XR rig, right? and I'm going to set the position of this to 0, 0, 0. So both the camera and the XR rig will be in the same place now. So what I'm going to do is I just drag my main camera into my XR rig. Right? Awesome. Cool. So now my main camera is inside my XR rig. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another empty game object, put it in 0, 0, 0 position, and I'm going to set the name of this to my right controller. Awesome. I have a main camera and I have a right controller. So I'll be using the right controller to navigate. Right. So now I'm going to select my main camera. I'm going to go to Add Component, and here I'm going to choose Tracked Pose Driver. There we go. Tracked Pose Driver. Cool. So by adding this, we tell Unity that the camera is now going to resemble the VR headset. So when you do that, and when you change, when you rotate your head, it's gonna work like it's gonna work like the VR headset. So when you like rotate your head, the camera will also rotate with you. Awesome. So now I select my right controller, go to Add Component. I'm going to select Track Pose Driver to this guy as well. And from the device section, I'm going to set this to generic XR controller. And the pose source will be right controller. That's it. So now I have a controller and as well as the main camera. Right. Now I select my right controller and I create an empty 3D object. I'm going to set the scale of this to 0.1, 0.1, and 0.5. Right, there you go. So now this will work as a controller so that I can send a beam. So let's create a beam. So to create a beam, I add a new component, and that component will be line renderer. So when I add that component, you can see some sort of a funny looking cube, and you can see that it changes its rotation. So this is basically a line. So and a line with a huge width. So I'm going to set the width to a really small value. So in my inspector window, the width in the line renderer component, I take my width all the way down so that it would look like a line. There you go. And also the material, I'm going to click this and I'm going to select the default line material right over here. So now I can see that the default line material is creating a RayCaster so that I can point to objects in 3D. Yeah. So we'll be creating a RayCaster. Basically, this line is to detect where the RayCaster goes, right? Otherwise, you won't be able to see where the line goes, right? For the moment, I'm just going to add a line. All right. So over here, I can change the, this one right here. It defines in which space this line goes. So I'm going to increase the z value of this so the line will reach the end of the sphere, right? And also you can even give colors. You can select this and you can give different colors to this. I have you can just choose whatever the color you want, and it's going to be really cool. There you go, right? And also you can give rainbow colors if you want. Awesome. Right. So now I have a line, right? And I have a main camera and I have a controller and everything is good. Now inside my sphere, so this is my sphere. Inside my sphere, I'm going to exactly. So you can create a lightsaber with this. Pretty easy. So inside my sphere, I'm going to create a sphere, right? Another sphere, and I'm going to set the scale of this to 0.01, 0.01, 0.01. I guess that's too small. 0.1, 0.1, and 0.1. I'm going to get this sphere right over here. Right. So this sphere is going to be the button that I choose to go to the other scene. Right. All right, so this doesn't look good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my materials. I'm going to create a new material, right? And I select this as I rename this as button, and I add this button. Um, okay, let's wait until it's okay. I drag and drop this button right over here. Cool. I change the shader of this to universal render pipeline unlit. So now from the angle that I see this, it will look like not like a sphere, but like uh, something like a circle, like a button. Also, you can change the color from here, right? I'm gonna keep it in white because I can see it. All right, so now inside my sphere, I'm gonna rename this to button, right? So here, so let's talk about colliders a little bit later. Anyway, so I'm gonna select my this cube right over here. I forgot a small setting to change. This line renderer position, right? It's going to be from 0, 0, 0 position to this. But if I change the position of the cube, you can see that the line, it does not go with me, right? It does not go with the cube. That is because the line gets rendered in the world space, right? So we have different types of spaces. We have the world space, and then we have the local space. The world space defines, whatever that renders, the positions and everything that renders will be inside this whole world space, right? So 0, 0, 0 and 0, 0, 2.6776 is going to be in the world space. But we want to take it to the space of this cube, right? So to do that, I just untick this use world space. So when I do that, and then you change your controller, now you can see that the line renders with respect to the cube's space, right? We call that as the local space. So I'm going to reset the position of this, right? So I'll have this guy right over here. Awesome. Pretty good. Right, so I have the XR rig. And okay, now, so I'm going to get my game window right to the side. So game window is basically what what this camera sees, right? So how do we move in between scenes? So basically, it is really easy to move in between scenes by taking the whole XR rig over here and over here, and also back to this. So what we are going to do is we change the position of the XR rig so that the whole camera and everything will, teleport into another sphere. So that's the whole idea of going, back and forth between each and every scene. All right, so now it's the time to do some coding. So, with these time constraints, I'm not going to code from scratch. I'm going to show you the code that I've already written, and I'm going to explain what I have done there. All right, so the idea is, so let me just explain a bit about the idea of my code, right? So there will be a manager, right? A manager, not as a manager that you see in a store. So this will be a manager that manages the whole scene. And inside a button, I will have a navigator, right? And also in my controller, the controller, I will have a controller script, right? A controller. So what would happen is I will attach this navigator component to a button, right? I will attach this navigator component to a button. I will attach the controller component to a controller. Controller, right? And the manager will be in the scene somewhere else, right? So what would happen is the controller will send a raycast to the button, right? And the button will select, whatever the scene that it wants to go, and tell the manager, hey, navigate to that scene, right? So the controller will ask the button what is the scene that the manager should navigate. The button will tell the scene that it should navigate, and the manager will take you to that specific scene. All right. So I have three different C# scripts right over here. And I explained that controller script is going to be on the controller, button is going to be on the button, and manager is going to be in the manager. So I'm going to start with the manager, right? Otherwise, it will be confusing. I'm going to start with the manager. So I create an empty game object. I'm going to name it as the manager. And in my manager, I'm going to attach the script, which is known as tour manager. So I already have a tour manager script that I created. And I just, applied it here. So you can create a C# script really easy by right-clicking this window, go to create, and choose C# script, which will give you a basic C# script like this with the update method and a start method. Don't worry about it. I'm just going to explain what we do today. Right. Awesome. So in my manager, this tour manager script, there is a parameter called the xrrig, and here it says it's none. There's none, right? There's nothing. All right, let's go to the script, and I'm going to explain what this manager does. Right. So right over here, don't worry about everything that you see from here to here, and also from here to here. What happens here is I have done something called singleton method, right? A singleton. So in programming, we call a design pattern called singleton, right? So that there will be only one instance of that script will be in the scene, right? That means there can be only one manager. Even if I add multiple manager scripts to whatever the components right over here, right? It will delete all the other managers and it will keep only one manager. So if I explain it to you a little bit, I have a tour manager variable over here, which is known as instance. And in the awake method, what I do is I check whether this instance is not null. That means if there is no instance, and if that particular instance is not this, right, then destroy myself, right? So for example, if this is the second instance of the tour manager, it will get destroyed. If not, it will apply instance to this. So anyway, oh man, I have no idea of how many singletons does it take to screw in a light bulb. All right, anyway. And also I have a public static method called instance, which will return the current instance of the tour manager. So any object in the scene can refer to the tour manager instance by calling this instance method, right? So so with this, the tour manager is going to be like the god in this scene, right? Any object can access to any of the public methods that is inside this tour manager script. Okay, so inside this tour manager script, apart from this singleton thing, I have something called public game object xrrig. So basically, this is a reference to the game object of the xrrig, right? Awesome. Now let's see what this thing does. So we have a method called navigate to, and inside of it, we get a parameter, a game object parameter called the scene, right? So calling this navigate to method will set the xrrig position to scene.transform.position. So what will happen is, whatever the game object that is passed to this navigate to method, the xrig's position will go to that particular object's position, right? So we change the position of the xrig pretty easily. That's it. Right, now let's see from where we call this navigate to script. All right, to do that, we have to go to navigator, right? Navigator. So basically this one, don't worry about this method right over here. So this method, this script, I'm going to attach to my button, right? Awesome. xrrig is not the same as the camera, not really. So xrrig is kind of a rig that contains the camera and the controller, right? So if you only change the position of the camera, the controller is going to be in another place, right? We want to take both of them together. right? And also the camera's position is managed by the track post driver. So we can't change the position of the camera, but we can put it inside another space, right? And we can localize that space, which we did by putting that camera inside an XR rig. So whatever the position change that it gets from the Oculus Quest is going to be inside the XR rig and not the world space, right? So you can easily navigate the XR rig to anywhere, and the camera will come with you, right? Awesome. All right, so here, this, look at this, right? So there's a public game object called navigate to. That means this button holds the reference to the scene that it should navigate to, right? Do you have to do world conversions? Not really. You don't need to do anything, right? You just need to change the position of the XR rig and the camera will come with you, right? Awesome. Cool. So what this navigator component does is it holds the position, not the position, it holds the reference to the scene that it should navigate, right? Okay, so now call in this navigate. So there's another method called navigate inside it. This navigate method, see what it does. It will find the tour manager.instance. Tour manager.instance is this goad method that we talked about. .instance is the singleton, right? Right? It will take that tour manager and call the navigate to and passes the navigate to reference object. That means the button will tell the tour manager, hey, this is the game object that you should navigate to. This is the position that you should navigate. Then the tour manager will take the XR rig to that position, right? Awesome. Okay, so now inside my navigator script, I have something like this. So to make things easier, right, I have added something called debug.drawLine. So if you have like 1,000 scenes, right, in the scene, right, and you don't know what button takes to what, which button takes to which scene, right? To make things easier, I created something like this, debug.drawLine. So it will draw a line in the editor mode from its current position, from the button's position to the transformed position of the reference of the scene that it should navigate, and the color of this is green. And I put something like this: execute in edit mode. So when you do that, the update method will execute even if you didn't, even if you didn't play. So let me go to Unity again, right? So I have a button right over here. Right? I'm going to change the position of this button to right over here, right? And I'm going to apply my navigator script to my button, right? Which is this script, right? And it will ask the public game object navigate to. So here in the update method, it will check whether the navigate to is not null, right? That means if there is a navigate to reference, then draw the line. Look what happens. Now, so just imagine this button should navigate to this scene, right? So, which is the sphere number 1. So what I do is I click my button and navigate to, I'm going to drag my sphere 1 on top of my navigate to. So when I do that, it will draw a line from this button to here. So you can even change the position of this button, right? You can put it inside this, or you can just take it over here. And now you can see, to which scene that it goes. So this will be really easy for you to, debug to where it should navigate. You can even change the sphere, right? You can, instead of the sphere 1, you can add the sphere 2. So it will draw a line from here to here. Awesome. So this is just to, just to see to which sphere that it should take. All right, cool. Now let's talk about the final thing, which is the controller. All right, so let's go to the controller. This has a lot of code. Before going to the controller, I need to talk about the input, right? So when you take the controller, right, you have an input called trigger. We call this as the trigger. And over here, we have another button. We call this as the grip, right over here, grip. And then on the face of this, you have like a joystick and 2 buttons and also another button, right? So in this workshop, we are going to be using this trigger button, right? And this trigger button works like an analog button, right? This is not just a button. This doesn't give you like on and off, but this gives you some some values in the middle, right? So you can even press it halfway through, and it's going to give a point value. But in this case, we don't want that. How many programmers does it need to screw in a light bulb? None. That's how. Yeah, yeah. Actually, singleton problem is similar to you only have one instance of a particular object in the scene. That's it. If you have two, others will automatically get destroyed. All right. Anyway, so we talked about different inputs. In Unity, there is something called the input manager, which manages the inputs. In order to take all these inputs from the controllers, you want to go to where is it? Assets. Inside assets, there is something called seed XR input bindings. So when you click it, you will see something like this. It will take you to project settings, input manager. You'll be able to see a bunch of input types, right? And here you'll be able to see something called XRI write trigger button. This one right here. So it will. So what happens is the Unity's input method. It will, it will take all of these buttons and all of these joysticks and put together in a, in a single space, right? For example, fire 1 means mouse click, mouse 0 means mouse click, right? And for example, jump. So let's see jump right here. It is the positive button is going to be space. So if you hit space, jump gets executed, right? Such like that. If you press the trigger button, which is called XRI trigger button, right? There are two things, right? XRI write trigger button and also XRI write trigger. So this one doesn't work like a button. This one works like a parameter, right? Hey Andrew, it's nice for you to be join this. Let's catch up. Thank you very much for joining. All right. Anyway, so we're going to be using XRI write trigger button, right? Okay, so let's go to our code. So in here, I see something called a Ryan renderer, which is a private variable, and I have something called a RayCast hit, and also something called a selected button. All of these are private variables, so none of this will, you need to like reference from the, none of this would be referenced from the scene, right? So in my start method, I assign the line renderer component that is attached to the controller, right? So if I select my controller right over here in my XR rig, my right controller, right over here, I can see the line renderer. So if I disable and enable the line renderer, right? So what I'm going to do is, if I select the trigger button, it will show the line renderer. And if my trigger button is released, it will disable the line renderer. So that's the whole idea of it, right? Okay, so if I go to my code, I'm going to quickly explain this. All right, so in my update method, in my start method, what I do is I get the reference of the line renderer and I disable it, right? So when you start, there would be no line, but you'll only be able to see the trigger. Okay, sorry, not the trigger. You'll only be able to see the cube, right? The controller. Awesome. Right. So in the update method, so let's look at this. If input.getButton, right? It's get button. That means when I'm holding the right trigger button, right? What is it? Right trigger button. Line renderer will be enabled, and if I'm not, the line renderer will be disabled, right? So when I keep on holding my right trigger, the line renderer is set to enable, and if I release it, else means I'm not pressing the right trigger, and there you go. Cool. Don't worry about this. This is just for reference, to see where the line goes, and this is the most important part, right? So there is something called input.getButtonUp. That means when you hold the right trigger and when you release it, this thing gets executed just once, right? Not all the time, just once. All right, so here, yeah, don't worry about this as well. So now when I release it, what I do is I send a raycast, right? So how we send a raycast is physics.raycast and transform.position, which is the position of the controller, and it will send a raycast to forward, transform.forward. So when you select transform.forward, it will send a raycast from the controller's position to the forward direction, right? Forward direction of that of wherever the cube is, point towards. And there is something called out hit, right? So out means I have created something called a variable called hit, which is a raycast hit. What this would happen is if this raycast hits an object, it will tell raycast hit, hey, this is the object that I hit, right? So out hit will return a value to this hit object, and also there I have the direction, the length of the ray, and I have put it to 3 because you know because my whole sphere is the size of 5, and from here to here it's going to be 2.5, and the raycast will go to like 3, which is fine, right? Cool. Now if there is actually a ray, you know um, a proper collision, right? And what I do is I set a game object which is called selected button will be equal to hit.collider.game object, right? So what would happen is the hit is going to be um, the hit, the raycast hit and the collider's hit. So what it do is the hit.collider will return the collider component of the game object that it hit, right? Or did you assign the tag to the game object? Yes, so I'm going to explain it to you a little bit later. All right. Okay. So I'm going to keep this for a moment, and I'm going to explain to you what the colliders are and how do we reference these colliders, right? So when you click this button right over here, right, in Unity, we detect collisions, right? To do stuff, right? To do game related stuff, we should detect collisions, right? So collisions are basically if you have two different objects, right, and when they hit together, there's going to be a collision, right? We call them as a collision, and when a collision happens, it will add forces to each other and will get these forces and will move, right? But in this case we don't need any collisions, right? What we need right now here is triggers, right? So basically, in Unity, there are two different types of collisions. One is an actual collision, and the other one is a trigger. So we use triggers to detect, certain collisions. But these collisions doesn't work like a collision. This work like these triggers kind of like go into each other. All right. So basically, what I have done here is, when you create a sphere, it will create a sphere collider right here. So this collider is basically a boundary that you attach to a 3D model, right? So what I have done right here is I have attached a collider component over here. So I didn't attach. If you create a sphere, it will automatically be added, right? But here, this is actually a trigger. Sorry, this is actually a collider. And we don't need any collisions. What we need is actually a trigger. So what I do right here is I enable the trigger component. So when you enable the trigger component, the collisions will not, add forces, but the collisions will be detected, right? All right. And the other important thing is when it comes to collisions, Unity detects all of the collisions, even if it is like, a collision that we don't want. But what we want is we need to filter out the collisions that we exactly want. So this, for example, this laser can hit anything, right? It can hit this this whole sphere, right? Because it's also a game object, and also it can hit this one as well, and also it can hit this one as well. We don't want that. We just want to filter out this one. So to do that, we use something called tag, right? We're going to tag this game object. Exactly. That's why you have a navigator tag. Exactly. So what I do is I select my button, and there you go. Inside my tag, I can choose navigator, right? So you're probably not going to have a navigator tag right here. You can add your own tag by going to add tag. You'll see something like this. You create this plus button and add a navigator, right? Navi, something like that. And you can go back to your 3D model, your object, and you can select the tag that you want. So here I'm just going to choose navigator. So if you go back to your code, so this block will this block will execute when you release your trigger, right? Exactly. So the selected button is going to take the hit.collider.game object. So that means it will detect the game object that the raycast hit. Now what I do is I check the tag of that game object, right? So what I have done here is selected button, which is the button that I referenced, dot compare tag navigator. If the raycast hit a navigator tagged object, then it will get the component navigator, which is the component that we added right here, right? It will check the button, right? And it will select the navigator component of that button and call the navigate method inside the navigator script, right? So here I have a navigator script attached to this, right, in the button, and it will select this navigator script and it will call navigator um, uh, navigate method inside this navigator script, which holds the reference to the other sphere, which will call the game, the manager, the tour manager, which will take the XR rig to the other place. Pretty simple, right? And in any case, if you don't have a navigator script attached to the button, sorry, there we go, the controller. If you don't have a navigator script attached to the button, then this is gonna, show an error, right? So you can handle that. But here I'm not going to choose. I'm going to teach you about how to handle errors. But the button has to have a navigator component, right? So that's what we have right here, right? And also the right controller. I haven't actually attached the script. So in my cube, I'm going to attach my controller script. Controller script. There you go. There's nothing in it, but it will work. Awesome. So now it's going to be pretty easy, right? So let's see. I want to go from this to this, and from this to this, and also from this back into this. So it's really easy. I select this button. I go all over. I look at the top, and if I go right back, there we go. I can get a copy of this button and put it inside the other sphere, like this. And also I can get duplicate, by hitting Control D or Command D, you can duplicate a 3D object or whatever any object. So these buttons will be held inside each of these spheres. And so imagine I want to navigate from this to this. Right, so I'm going to select this button, and the navigate to, I'm going to change this to sphere 1. There you go. So this will go to this, and this will go to this, and also this one should go to this. So I'm going to select the button over here, and I'm going to choose sphere right here. All right, awesome. That's pretty much it. So I'm going to get ahead. I'm going to give the stage back to Luciana because my controller, my headset is going to, it's working bonkers. So I'm going to get back into the stage to show you how this would look like, and also for the Q&A. So Lucy, the stage is yours.
Thanks, Indika. Thanks a lot. Let me go ahead and share my screen again. That was awesome. Everybody give a round of applause to Indica. Yay, amazing. We'll bring him back, but I'll just, yes, emojis. Bring them all, bring them all, bring them all. He's seeing this off stage. Amazing. Indica, this is all for you. You are a shining star. Amazing. Awesome. I assume everybody can hear me and see me. If you can't, definitely let me know. And I see that we already have some awesome questions in the questions tab, so you guys did great. I'm going to launch our second poll of the evening, which is on a scale of 0 to 10, how likely are you to recommend this workshop to a friend? So we're always launching close to 2 workshops a week. We're always developing new content, and we'd love to know if this is being useful or not. So definitely let us know. All right, so I'm going to go over to the questions tab, the polls tab, and published. So definitely make sure you go over there, you give us your vote, and we know how we're doing. So that's great. Awesome. All right, so let's, amazing. We have some people voting already. It's really great to know. All right, well, let's wrap things up before we go to our Q&A session. And I'm so excited to share our spring sale with you guys. Some of you have heard about it, some might have not. We have a spring sale that was launched on May 6th and it's going only until May 20th. So if you are interested in learning more, in taking one of our courses, this is really the best time. We've never had a sale like this, and we have it in many of our offerings, or many of our course offerings. So first option is you get a 30% discount if you want to take a course, and it could be any of our courses. So we have our XR Development with Unity course. This is the 10-week course that's more, programming based. You need to program. You learn how to create VR and AR apps in Unity. So we have 2 cohorts coming up, May 25th, and that's time zone friendly for people, everybody basically who's not in North America or South America. So, Asia, Europe, Middle East, Australia, and you have until next week to apply. So May 18th is the application deadline. So definitely go check it out. And then we have another one, July 6th, which is more North American time zone friendly. You can definitely still take it, but the time zones are going to be more friendly towards, people who live in North America. And the application deadline there is July 1st. And then we have our interaction design and prototyping for XR. So that one is focused for designers. It's not programming based. You learn all of the, design and user interface basics for XR. So our first cohort is in June 14th, and that's a 10-week course as well. So those 2 are beginner-friendly courses. And then we have our advanced course, which is the XR Project Accelerator. We have another one starting on May 25th as well. So the application is May 18th. So you have a week to decide if you'd like to take it or not. And then we have our smaller course. So that's the C# Scripting Fundamentals in Unity. So it's just a 3-week course, but it's awesome. It's taught by Cash. Cash is amazing. All of our instructors are amazing, but it's a nice course for you to get the fundamentals of, programming. So it's a good base course. The next one starts next week, so on May 18th, but there's still time to sign up if you'd like. But of course, all of our seats are going pretty fast because we've never really launched a spring sale like this before, and the spring sale itself only goes until May 20th. So if you are interested in learning more, definitely hit us up. All right, so that's in terms of the specific courses. And then we also have a 30% discount on our bundles. So we usually offer bundles at a very good value, and we've decided to give a discount on top of those as well. So the XR Developer Starter Pack, so that has the XR Development with Unity course, C# Scripting Fundamentals in Unity, and you get an Oculus Quest 2 headset. So you're pretty good to go, and that you get a $1,500 discount, which is pretty awesome. And then like that one as well, we have a similar one for the designer. So an XR Designer Starter Pack. And you get the C# course as well and an Oculus Quest 2 headset. But instead of the Unity course, you get the interaction design and prototyping for XR. And you get another $1,500 discount on this bundle as well. And then we also have our Advanced Accelerator Pack that includes C# course as well as Oculus. but it has, of course, the XR Project Accelerator, and you also get a $1,500 discount on that course as well. So that's pretty awesome. And then last but not least, if you're an alum, you get not 30% on our courses, you get 50% on our courses. So, I mean, I'm pretty surprised. I've never really seen a 50% discount. That's pretty awesome. So you can either take, XR development with Unity, design, Project Accelerator, or C#. And again, all of the dates there, so you guys are aware. If you'd like more info on the on our spring sale, I'm going to make it easy for everybody, and I'm just going to launch a button here that's going to make it really easy for you to look at this a little bit better on our website. Diane has also put the link in the chat, but let me just share it here with you all. There you go. And then as you're looking at the button, you can also see that we have various payment plans. So either 3 months, 6 months, or 12 months. So it's pretty flexible, and it really makes things, a lot more accessible. All right, and then I'm just going to leave that button there while I finish talking about our offerings. So as I mentioned, we also have the customized training for educators and businesses. And if you're looking to, get specific training for your company, or if you're, an institution, educational institution, you can talk about that with our admissions officers. In addition to offering the one-on-one sessions within the longer courses, like the design course, the Unity course, and the accelerator course, you can also purchase one-on-one sessions as a separate pack, which is pretty awesome. So maybe, if you've taken one of our courses before and you have a project that you want just personal attention on, you can purchase those as well. All right, so if you'd like to take a look at each of these courses in more detail, yes, send the emojis my way, and perhaps you'd like to download a syllabus, take a look at each of the classes, I'm someone like that. I like looking at everything in detail. You can go to our website, circusstream.com/learning, and either apply or download a syllabus. All right, and then last but not least, we have our awesome admissions team. I'd like to call them Lucy's Angels. So I launched that in one of the workshops, and I'm just going to stick to it. So we have Steph, Kyle, and Brendan. They're awesome. They can help you to figure out what's the best course for you, when's the right time to take a course, how much time investment, which courses to take, when not to take. So they're really, really helpful. Really think of them as learning advisors, and they can help you get where you need to be. All right, so we're just going to go to Q&A in just a second. I'm going to close the spring sale button, but Dan put it in the chat as well if you need it. And of course, if you just go to our website, you'll be able to find it really easily. I'd like to welcome you all to come join us on Slack. You can engage with our community, and you can continue talking to me, which is a great perk. And we have, weekly events and announcements and challenges. So it's really an engaging community. All right. So, before we go to Q&A, before I forget, we have another workshop this week. We have XR Design Principles and Best Practices. It's this Thursday at 12 p.m. PST with our Pun Queen, Nakisa, and Brandon. All right, so that's basically it. Diane has put the link in the chat as well. So let me stop sharing my screen. I see that Indika is ready to go for the questions. Hey, Indika, are you ready to get things started?
Yeah, I got my Oculus Link working. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen again.
Nice.
Show you
the magic.
Mm-hmm. The magic. All right, there you go. All right, so I forgot to tell you about the this manager right here. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
All right, live storm. All right, let me start sharing my screen again. Oops.
This is the waiting dance. All right, it's there. We
It's
can see
there.
it.
Oh, okay, cool.
Amazing.
All right, so yeah, I forgot to mention you earlier because I didn't have the XR rig. It used to be none, right? So you basically have to drag the XR rig and put it right over here, otherwise it wouldn't work. And if I hit play, let me see. Takes a while to load.
So you just do the dance, Indika.
Yeah.
What's your dance?
All right.
There you go.
Okay, it's loading. There you go. Cool. Now here you can see the controller, and you can hit the trigger button. And when you do that, you'll be able to like point it, direct, release. You're in another scene. You can point it. You're in the video. The video kind of stopped. You have to turn that loop on, and you can go back. And you can just cycle through all of these scenes pretty easily. Right? Cool. That's what it is. All right. So you can you can go to this sphere right here, and in the video player you can enable the loop, and it will work. All right. That's pretty much it. Let's head to the questions.
Questions. Amazing. All right. So I'm going to go based on upvotes, so the most voted questions. So we'll start with Paula. Paula's asking, is it possible to do this for websites? And how would it be possible to do that or adapt it?
So usually Unity, there is a Unity's WebGL. Unity has WebGL capability, but it doesn't work with a Quest. It wouldn't work with a Quest. So you cannot directly put it in a website. So the way that you want to show something like a 360 360 tour in a website is basically you have to do something else. Like you have to use something else called, there are like various different 360 plugins for web. Something called A-Frame, right? And there's something called 3JS, which you can use to do something like that. But since we worked on an Oculus Quest, and also we relied on the PC version of it, you cannot actually replicate this in web. So you have to use something else, just like I said.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Thanks, Paula. Thanks, Indika. So Mohammed has a question. I can see that Dion already answered it, but he wants your opinion as well, Indika. So Mohammed is asking, it looks like I can't ask it live, but he's asking Unity versus Unreal. Thoughts? For me, on a basic level of understanding, Unreal is good for rendering, yet Unity is easier to learn for AR, VR, and XR. I could be wrong, just wanted to inquire other perspectives about it.
Yeah, you're actually right. So when it comes to Unity versus Unreal, if you're using Unreal, it's really easy to get something, highly realistic, because the materials and the rendering, how the rendering pipeline of Unreal is really into this realistic graphics. But if you want to learn if you want to learn XR, if you want to learn game development or interactive development, Unity is really easy to get into. It has really basic components that you can get the hang of it, and Unity has the separate learn pathways as well to learn Unity from the very beginning. And all in all, I guess you're right. For rendering Unreal, to learn easily Unity. And also in Unity, there are like various different pipelines, HD render pipeline, but the lighting and all this stuff are going to be a huge hassle with it. If so there's a learning curve for that, but if you get the hang of it, everything's going to be simple in Unity as well.
Everything is possible. So Lillian has a question as well. Does any VR headgear is available to do this?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, so
just any VR headgear is available.
Yeah.
So in this case, we use the Oculus Quest, but there's something called OpenXR. There are like various other headsets like HP headset, the Oculus Rift, and there's something called Pico. I couldn't remember the name of it. But instead of HTC One, all of the other VR devices, you'll be able to use it. But Google Daydream, Samsung's 360, Google Cardboard, those are like really old school and people are not using them pretty much. But for Google Cardboard, I mean, like Google Daydream is now discontinued, right? Samsung 360, they are not supporting their Gear VR device, and Google Cardboard is still there. But for that, you have to download the Google Cardboard SDK instead of the Open XR or the native package that Unity provides. So the navigation is going to be the same, but the only thing that's going to be different is the controller, right? Controller and the camera movement. So you have to use something else for that.
Awesome. Thanks, Lillian. David asked a couple questions, which you already answered, Indika, so I'll skip those. Andrew asked, does the sphere size matter when you create it? Is there any dependency on the image you put in it?
Sphere size doesn't matter. Actually, if you want to have like various different components inside this sphere, just not just the buttons. If you want to choose like annotations and various different 3D models, 3D objects, if you want to show some birds flying around you, so for that you need space, right? So the sphere size doesn't matter, but you need to make sure that everything is in a balance. The sphere size, the controller size compared to the sphere size, right? So it doesn't actually matter. So
nice. Awesome. Thanks, Indika. And then let's go to Ramesh. Okay, I was just seeing if there was a question before that. I would like to introduce a School 360 VR project where students will create 360 contents of their school, classrooms, facilities, and projects. I think that this is a second part to a previous question.
Guess, yeah.
I don't see the first question, Ramesh. Let's see if they wrote it in the chat.
I represent the marketplace. I think I saw. And we engage with a lot of schools. Came to introduce some basic stuff. Yeah. So I think that's pretty much. Yes,
I see that. Okay. All right, maybe I'll read it again. Ramesh, I represent a maker space, and we engage with lots of schools. I would be keen to introduce some basic introductory VR 362 workshop. Can you please suggest any that would be best for students ages 13 to 18?
I think you can start with this. I mean, this is really simple, and even you can just, if you wanna teach without any coding, you can just create the scripts for them, and then based on that, you can explain what these scripts does, and these scripts are going to work without an issue. So these scripts actually I created a little bit before this workshop, but it worked, right? So it's just a matter of attaching the already made scripts. If you want to teach C# scripting, I recommend using teaching C# to the students, because they are like even we started programming in like around 13 to 15, so it's not going to be a hassle. Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome. That's awesome, Ramesh. That's amazing. All right, next question's from Cindy. For the navigator tool, we can use it to transform from one environment to another. So does it mean we can build a scene and then using the same method to navigate the user to another scene, like when we have multiple game scenes?
Not really, not with the same, not by, So what I did in that scene is I just changed the position of the camera to anywhere. But here, what you're supposed to do is to change the whole scene. Right. To do that, there is something called Scene Manager in Unity, right? And you can just you can just close the scene and open another scene. You can do that, but not the same way, right? You can just navigate to another scene by using the Scene Manager. By since this is a VR, since this is a VR app, going through each and every scene is not going to be a hassle if you have the same XR, not the same XR rig. I mean, like. The same XR rig parameters in all of these scenes. So it's going to work without an issue.
Nice. You know what I just realized, Indika? You don't have the AR filters on you today. Those were nice. You should have like a question hat,
Oh, maybe. Yeah. I couldn't get it up to maybe next time.
Next time. Okay. So everybody, stay tuned. Maybe next time Indika will have a nice question hat. Yeah. All right. Thanks, Cindy. From Tony now. Can I know how long usually needed to develop a house tour in VR?
So, basically, if you follow the workshop, if you get the scripts correct, and if you have, if you have the spheres put together in a, in a certain manner, you can just get all of these 360 images of your house and put it inside Unity, and then just drag and drop the images in each and every sphere. That's it. So you can go to each and every sphere and set the button positions, right? For example, if you have a door, you set the button's position to that door, and then you can navigate it to the other sphere where it, shows the other image. Really simple.
It's pretty quick. It's great.
And you know how long? If I talk about how long, if you get these scripts correct, and if you have all these images, it's going to be less than 30 minutes.
Whoa, nice. Nice. Thanks, Tony. And then next from Gwendolyn, what 360 panoramic sites do you recommend?
I have no idea. I just, how I downloaded these panoramic images by searching in Google. So I think I couldn't remember the name of it. Just type 360 panoramic images in Google, and they will list down about, okay, there's something called 360cities.net and also Shutterstock, but you have to purchase them. Most of them are not free of charge. Shutterstock and 360 cities, and there's something called
Shutterstock?
Shutterstock. Shutterstock. So yeah, those are good sites to download, good 3D images, 360 images. But if you have a 360 camera, then you don't need to download anything. You just need to go and capture some photos.
I said Shadowstock instead of Shutterstock. My bad. Shadowstock is the Halloween version. Awesome. And another question from Gwendolyn. Can I use an asset as the button, i.e. a padlock on a gate?
Can do. Yeah, I just used a sphere. You can use anything. You can use a 3D character, waving at you. Hey, hit me to go to this, go to the other side. You can use anything. You can use animations. You can use particle effects. Whatever you know in Unity, you can use inside the sphere. So it all matters with your creativity.
Awesome. And another question for Gwendolyn. Great question. So she's asking, I am interested in your one-on-one mentoring packages. How do I get info? So I'm sure Dion's going to post the link in the chat right now. So you can go straight to our website, and then you can speak. There's a chat function. You can speak to one of our advisors, or there's a one-on-one package option, and you can click on, purchase now or apply now, or you can send an email to education@circuitstream.com. Let me just confirm that Dion is he's super fast. So he's done, he just sent the specific link to the one-on-one sessions there. All right, so another question from Mohammed. I have a question concerning scripting, though. I'm aware that Unity functions with C#. Was wondering if it's also compatible with Python coding as well.
Not yet. I mean, in the long run, they might introduce Python, but Unity, the Unity's underlying architecture solely relies on .NET, C#. Unity used to have JavaScript as well, but they discontinued with JavaScript, and they are now focusing, fully on C#. So Python, not now, but maybe in the future. Let's see.
Would there be a benefit to it adding Python?
So it's just a matter of how both of these languages, the performance of these languages. C# is a really good language, and it uses some good context. Context. So the context of this, how you type everything, how you use these open parentheses, curly brackets and stuff like that. But Python doesn't have that. Python is purely on a tab-based structure, and the coding is really a little bit different. But compared to other languages, the number of lines that you have to write is really small. Right? You have to write a very reduced number of lines. Anyhow. I'm hoping that Unity might look into Python as well someday. But right now, no, it's just C Sharp. You have to go with C Sharp.
And do you think C Sharp is easier than Python?
Python is a really good language. You know, the syntax, not the context. The syntax.
Okay.
Forgot the name. The syntax of those two languages are quite different. But if you get the hang of C Sharp, sometimes it might be easier than Python because the Python is basically on a tab-based structure. But both of them are really similar. If you know the basics, both of them are going to be fairly easy to learn.
Nice. Too bad Andrew isn't here, but I'm sure this is a great question. So he's asking, what is the optimal resolution of video that needs to be in Sphere?
That depends on the resolution. I guess at least a 4K resolution, both the images and videos. I recommend either 4K or 4K videos or 4K images, something that goes up. If it is 8K or 64K, I'm really grateful if you can do that. But since this is not a flat image, this is a full image that we wrap around a sphere. So the area of that should be higher, right? So I would recommend something that is more than 4K to at least to show some clarity.
Nice. And then another question from Andrew: does the sphere have to be white after you make it URP unlit?
Not really. As I've explained, you can just change to any color, or maybe you can replace it with another 3D model. It doesn't need to be something like that. It doesn't need to be unlit. It can be lit as well.
Okay. All right. Let me see if we have any unanswered questions. Okay, yeah, we do have about 2. All right. So from Tony as well, what are the factors that will determine the resolution of my VR scene? I've watched some videos of the developers that they made to look very real. Some have good resolution, but the whole texture looked like anime.
All right. So the factor. So it doesn't need to be. It doesn't need to be a VR scene. Just think about a Unity scene, and you apply different. So and also this, don't consider this as a 360 image. So here, what we worked with, just 360 images, right? Not 3D objects. But if you're working with 3D objects and 3D scene, basically the number of how realistic and how the materials work matter, right? So even the textures look like anime. You can choose different textures like the bump maps, the normal maps, and the lighting maps. So if you're really into 3D, you know what these maps means, and combining all of these maps, you'll be able to create some realistic scenes. But I'm not really getting the question, but how the texture looks like anime. But what I guess is determining the resolution of your VR scene. I guess it's about the quality of the 3D models that you use, the quality of the materials, and the quality of the textures that you use. And all in all, there is something called couldn't remember the name of it. What it called? So there is something that you can define the quality of the lines. I couldn't actually remember the name of it. Head to the Slack. I'll definitely search for it.
Follow-up question.
Yeah. You can follow up the questions. I'm going to look into it.
All right, for sure. No, and your excuse, Indika, because it's what time is it where you are right now?
It's Sri Lanka. It's really early.
It's really early.
It's really early.
Sometimes, yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna get the other question. Maybe you'll get the answer to that one. Just the specific term. So another question from Gwendolyn. Recommendations on a 360 camera.
I think I answered the same question. Similar question. So there is something called Insta360, which is a really good 360 camera. And if you have money, there is a camera that is provided by Nokia, which costs around $45,000 US.
Oh, yes, you answered David that question. We didn't read it out.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want me to read the answer?
Yeah, please. Go ahead.
Okay, so GoPro Max, Insta360, Samsung 360 cam, or there's Nokia 360 cam, which costs around 15,000 USD. So there you go.
Cool. And the term that I was looking for is anti-aliasing. So there is something called anti-aliasing. So the resolution depends on how quality of your scene, how quality of your project is. You can change the quality of the project by going to the graphic settings. Quality settings. And in your quality settings, you can define how this, anti-aliasing should be, and how the textures should work, and how the shadows should work. So all in all, you need to get the lighting. You need to get proper lighting, and with that, building a realistic scene is it's not going to be hard.
Amazing. So it looks like those were all of our questions. Thank you so much, Indika. Thanks everybody for coming. Yeah, you did good. You did good. Can you say the term again? Or maybe we can write it here in the chat for everybody, because Cindy's asking what is the term again. So
it's called anti-aliasing.
Anti-aliasing.
Yep.
Indika is going to write it. So we will be sending the recording as well as the assets. So you guys don't need to worry about that. See if you can check out our next workshop on Thursday. Thanks again, everybody, for coming. And if you can, join our Slack group. So it's awesome. You can talk to me. You can talk to Indika. We have lots of different channels where everybody exchanges, ideas and projects about XR. So it's awesome. So Dayan just posted the Slack link, and Indika just posted, yes, anti-aliasing. Amazing. Awesome. Thanks, Kara. Thanks, Lillian. Great to see everybody. Yes, join us Thursday for the XR design workshop. So if you don't like coding, that is for you. Awesome. All right. I'm going to leave the stage, but you guys can continue to send us messages and emojis on chat. See you, everybody. Have a great day, Indika. Bye. Thanks so much.
Bye. Bye, everybody.
Bye.